things are actually about to go crazy. So Warframe or Digital Extremes released their second trailer within 3 days. Now, I had a whole video planned out for the first trailer. I kind of analyzed it and kind of went with my thoughts and what my theories were. Just as I was about to finish the video, the second trailer released and everything went out the window. And now things have exploded, and I have a bunch of theories as to what is going to happen, what the next destination will be, and what is the future of Warframe, what is going to happen next. So with that being said, I'm going to dive straight into it. I'm going to let you guys know exactly what I think after I've analyzed both videos, what they said, what the lyrics are, what the sayings are, all the connections in between. So in the first trailer, you see Mag Prime laying on the ground with a lotus flower, both of them seemingly pretty much dead, just flat on the surface. It's a very desolate space, nothing really to be seen, right? And you have this beautiful, beautiful shanty with the lyrics. Let me just read this quickly. Cast and cry, raise the million pylons high. All our kin were bound to fly for that far shore forlorn. Onward high, who but we may tame the sky? Who but we shall dust and die on that far shore forlorn? And then, of course, they do end up saying, we swore to carry the sacred light of our dominion into the deepest dark. And that is where that ends. That's the first trailer. Well, the first thing that came to mind was the Mag Prime codex entry, where they actually go over that in the old war, they sent some ships to the Tau to actually fight the Sentients, right? And on one of those ships were Mag Prime. Now, the story in the codex actually comes from the perspective of one of the soldiers that was on that very same ship. And I think you see him in the second trailer, but we'll get into that right now. I'm going to read the actual codex entry for you guys so you can actually give your own opinion on this. So let me get into that and we'll discuss this further afterwards. We sat strapped in, safeties off, waiting for the punch, waiting for the death. Through my filthy portal, I saw stars among the outlines of the other splinter ships queuing for the solar rail. It would soon grip us with an incomprehensible power and cast us through the void into the mouth of our enemy. I watched the ships one by one bending and gone, each crammed with Zerotech soldiers sucking stale air, white-knuckling their percussion rifles, each filled with a desperation that comes from extinction. Our ship would be the last to cross the gap. Our ship had special cargo. It was essentially empty, just 10 men like me strapped in with the best Zerotech suits and weapons the Empire could build, and it stood in the aisle, a slender and eyeless metal form, a Tenno inside its warframe, vaguely human, vaguely feminine. Was this armor of some ornate carapace for the monster that lived inside? I strained against the harness as the ship yawed for its final approach. I could see the Tenno standing there freely, solemn and gold gleaming, oblivious to the inertial force. I had been until then a Tenno denier. They were ghosts, propaganda, twisted casualties of the Void era. Not possibly real, yet here it was in the flesh. The Empire, in their desperation, was going to turn the demons loose and hope for the best. Who did we fear more, the enemy or this monster? We had our safeties off. Could we trust it? Then it didn't matter anymore. The punch came and our windows became blinding. When we could see again, our ship was somewhere else, shattered and dead in an instant. My lungs were flattened, my eyes full of death. Ship debris glittered like a night snow. The alien blue star was dark and blinding beyond us. The countless articulating worm ships of our enemy ringed in glowing discs, undulating and heat-bursting the surviving soldiers like me. This is where I died. I was caught in our disc, sweeping over my right side and setting my blood on fire. My vision flattened, the hearing muffled and buzzed. I could feel the side of my face going slack and wet. I was in a dying dream. I saw a bright spot blurring and weaving towards me. I felt a tug toward it from the metal clasps on my suit. It reached me. Rising up, a gleaming metal beast, a plume of golden wings rising and unfolding behind it. An angel. It snatched me from my death. I could feel my lungs fill as it wrapped me in its wings. Its void shield shimmered blue, strained under the enemy beams. I felt a sudden tug of acceleration, closed my eyes, and held on like a child. I awoke on the floor, the sting of crisping flesh on my face and side. It was standing over me, the wings gone. I heard the crackling of weapons echoing down the corridor. Maybe the mission would be saved, but I was dying, and so I waved my hands to send it away. I felt a pistol thrust in my hand, and I was heaved to my feet. The angel had saved me, pulled me from hell, but it would not pity me. I was to die on my feet, by its side. I turned my good side towards the gunfire and raised the gun. It nodded, its outstretched metal hand surging and pulsing in ancient shapes as blue shimmered around me. It turned, drawing its blade, and together we surged headlong into the hailstorm of death and fire that awaited us. So this piece I actually found on Reddit. Or something pointing towards it. Somebody said Mag Prime went to Tau according to the codex lore. Tau is in sight. And that is very, very interesting because it never actually directly states that they went to Tau or they actually reached Tau, but it is kind of hinted to that since the Sentients are the beings that was sent to Tau and came back, or that came from Tau at least at the end of the day, and was kind of the main villain of the Orokin Empire for a really long time. Now, something else that is very interesting is the term "our history is a smoke" is something that is specifically said by Lotus during an assassination mission that you might have seen in one of my previous videos as well, but I'll show it to you yet again right now just so you can kind of have a refresher.
Our history is smoke, blurred by dreams, guided by ghosts. A voice, a void, lurks inside you, its purpose not yet shown. But what am I?
Alright, so after reading that codex entry, it kind of checks out. You have Mag Prime laying on the ground. It does seem like some place that we haven't really seen before. And in the second trailer, right after you see Mag Prime, there is another Warframe, which coincidentally seems like Ember Prime on the right side. And then afterwards on the left side, kind of adjacent to that, is something that we haven't really seen a lot before. But if you really look closely, it somewhat resembles, actually very closely resembles, one of the old era Grenier warriors, which might be some of the actual warriors that went on that same ships to go to Tau to fight the Sentients with the Warframes. Maybe the exact one in that codex entry. In that same second teaser trailer, we also see maybe Nyx or Rhino, we see Volt, and we maybe see Loki. That is all of them Prime, of course. In that same trailer, just laying dead on the ground. Now, it is kind of up for debate which Warframes actually are laying there, since you can't really see it. So let me know in the comment section down below who you think is laying on the ground on that trailer, or in that trailer at least. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, to be honest. Like, I thought there was going to be a pattern, and there is somewhat of a pattern, but not in the fact that there are a lot of Warframes, right? The pattern is actually when you look at the Lotus Flowers. Now, the Lotus Flowers at this moment are only at Mag, Vault, and a lot of the community seem to suggest that the next one is going to be Excalibur Prime, which, for those of you guys who don't know, Excalibur Prime is actually a Prime Warframe that you can't get anymore. It's only there for the founders of the game. Now, if they bring that Prime Warframe back, that would actually be insane. So maybe they do that. I don't think they are, but maybe they will do that. In any case, the song that is playing in the background of the second teaser trailer has these lyrics, and I read as follows. Velvet blue the meadows lie, though the haughty ones defy. Gold shall never break our tie to that far shore forlorn. Onward high, who but we may tame the sky? Who but we shall distant die on that far shore forlorn? Absolutely beautiful, beautiful song, and the poetry in that, it's astonishing. I mean, I expect nothing less from DE, the music studio that makes games. But that is not the only thing that we are actually getting. You remember at the end of the first trailer, they said, "We swore to carry the sacred light of our dominion into the deepest dark." Well, in this one, that same thing continues, saying, "And this we have done. Swear now to defend this holy treaty." Some of you guys might not know where this comes from, but this whole thing actually comes from the Zariman pledge, which went as follows. "By the glory and honor of the Seven, I give my life to carry the sacred light of our dominion into the deepest dark. In this, we are one. So if you take that and you take the one that we have right now, which is we swore to carry the sacred light of our dominion into the deepest dark, and this we have done, swear now to defend this holy treaty. Well, the first part of that, where they are saying, we swore to carry the sacred light of our dominion into the deepest dark, and this we have done. That means probably we're going to Tau, because at the end of the day, the Zariman 10-0, and the Zariman overall, had the mission to go to the Tau system. The next part kinda confuses me, however, where they say, swear now to defend this holy treaty. Are they talking about the Sentients? Is there like a treaty between the Tau and the Origin system? Maybe the Orokin actually still wants to overtake Tau, maybe the Sentients need some help against another foe. It's all up for speculation at this point, and it will all be revealed in a few days, 4 to 5 days at Tennocon, so buckle up because this is about to get really, really crazy. So what about my actual theories of what is going to happen? So one of my theories is we are going back in time again. Just like we did with Warframe 1999, we might be going back in time to the actual first war, the old war as it is said in Warframe, where we can actually relive the events that happened when the old war, when they went to Tau and actually went to fight the Sentients. Are we gonna see that? That would be an absolutely amazing story to tell, and it won't be the first time where we actually kind of go back in time or maybe revisit some way, shape or form that time, and it would give us a lot of insights into the actual history of the Origin system, of the Tau system, of the Sentients, of the Tenno, and of the Warframes. Of course, I do think, being an, it's always Entrati believer, that we will be finding Albrecht Entrati there, as well as that might also be his destination, going to the Tau system itself. Maybe he doesn't have the ability to actually go to the Tau and therefore goes back in time to find that ability, to find the power needed to actually do that. Remember, the solar rail used to actually traverse that distance, I think it was powered by the lost finger of the Indifference or the Man in the Wall, if I'm not mistaken. Like, correct me if I'm actually wrong, because I might be wrong on that front, I'm not exactly sure. But if that is the case, maybe the only way that he can actually utilize that power again is by going back in time where everything was still actually actively being used, and maybe finding a way to preserve that for some maybe future travel, or maybe he wants to go back in time and change something so that the Indifference maybe is defeated. Maybe that's his whole goal. I don't know. I've seen a lot of speculation around that. Another theory that I actually have is that we do find in the present time an actual reason to go to the Tau system, but when we get there, it is a horrifying view. We see the remains of the old war being scattered across the floor, dead Warframes, dead Grenier, and sentient buildings and sentients overall ruling that entire system. Or maybe they are dead as well, and we have a new foe that we need to actually defeat. That can be an entirely new story that D actually pulls through and goes into for the remainder of Warframe. And then, of course, my last theory is that the Sentients themselves take us to Tau to help them defend their system, their newly adapted system, against maybe a bigger foe, maybe even the Indifference. You never know. So what do you think is actually happening in the new update, or what do you think they are going to announce at Tennocon 2025? With that being said, let me know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel if you actually like Warframe deep dives and talking about lore and theories and stuff like that. I'm going to do that quite a lot on this channel, so stick around and we'll talk about it yet again. In any case, go watch this video if you think that, well, this video was pretty cool.